So, hello, welcome back to another episode of the Self-Development Tactics podcast, and today we're going to talk about regret and dealing with regret. And in the background, as you can see, there is an article from the tiny Buddha, might.com, might.org, might.whatever, I don't know. I'm going to look it up afterwards, by Lori Deskeen, I guess. I'm actually not quite sure. But why have I chosen this site? There were many other sites, for example, the psychologytoday.com site, which is a very, well, I would at least say known site. But I thought, well, just because it is known, just because I'm always there, just because it might be having just a certain status, does it really mean that the information is also going to be that great? And only because somebody that is writing there has a PhD or just some other title or some other background, academical background, does it really mean that this person is, more suited for doing this, and writing about that? I actually don't know. So I thought, well, let's choose something different. Let's go through that one. And I'm going to start reading. Stay away from what might have been and look at what can be. Marsha Petri Sue. When I look back at some of the most painful moments of my life, I see myself sitting alone, feeling either immense shame or regret. It is bizarre how we can get so offended and angry when other people hurt us, and yet repeatedly choose to torture ourselves, far worse than they possibly could, through repeated mental rehearsing or rehashing. For the longest time, my biggest regret revolved around missing out on life, which I'm actually also feeling, by the way. From a distance, people always thought I had everything going for me. Up close, you could see the cracks in the face. I actually would like to say surface, but she says facet. No matter what I got, I was painfully discontent and depressed and often isolated in fear. I remember my last time in New York at 25, sitting in a tiny boxed-up efficiency studio apartment that I rented in a low-income building. I'd been in the Apple for 2.5 years, and my greatest accomplishments were barely noticeable to anyone but myself. Granted, there were big ones. I'd quit smoking, formed a yoga practice, and began the slow uphill climb to liking who I was. But the list of what I didn't do often felt far more compelling. I didn't form many real friendships. I never had a storybook New York City romance like I dreamed about, and I never even once auditioned for a play after growing up on the stage. I went to New York to convince the world I was strong. Then I broke into a million little pieces and, in stubborn resistance to giving up, spent 2 years trying to glue myself back together. For a long time, I regretted that I went to the city where dreams came true, and did absolutely nothing to go after mine. Then I realized something. I was not that girl anymore, and in another second, I would again be someone new. At any moment, I could let go of the weight of who'd been and allow myself who I'd been, myself, and better chance of becoming who I wanted to be. What I did or didn't do could either paralyze me further or motivate me to do something now, something not conceived in reaction to past disappointments, but born completely anew from a moment of strength and empowerment. We can all do that at any time. You can take your regrets and there we have 8 points, 8 points on how to deal with it and what to do about it. So I'm once again going to start reading. I'm actually very, very sorry for my cracked voice, for my a bit broken voice. Difficult for me to kind of talk about from time to time, because of relatively recent things, I want to point out. But anyway, I might actually also be having to talk about that. I'd actually like to make some sort of an cinematic video, but I'm gonna see. Identify and address your weaknesses. When we acknowledge our weaknesses, there is often an implied sense of judgment, as if we should never make any mistakes. The alternative is to accept that everyone makes mistakes and then focus on what we can do differently going forward. For me, that meant discovering why I was so afraid of putting myself out there. The rewards of learning to conquer that fear in the present far outweighed the pain of having given into it in the past. That's actually a pretty good point. And I perceive it as something pretty good because I'm seeing it in my life as well. In the very recent days, I've started to put myself out there a bit more. Because I always, well, not always, but I also felt a bit alone and felt like I could do more with my life. I could do more than, those things that I'm doing. I should do more. I should meet more people, And so I thought, well, I'm gonna start. Well, I actually have to make a video about that and talk about that. But anyway, use your mistake as a teaching tool, which is very cliche, I'd say. Like, take it as an opportunity to grow and then just see it in a positive light and whatnot. Yes, easily said, but this is fucking not easy done. This is the whole problem. Like, a ton of things are very easy when you theoretically think about it. But in the end, it is not very easy to do it, make it, whatnot. Anyway, in my time writing for tweens, I read many letters from girls who have learned to beat themselves up by watching their parents' response to mistakes. If you forgive yourself and bounce right back, you empower your children to respond the same way. If you're like me and don't have any children, think of it as helping everybody around you. Or everyone around you. I know when I see someone fall down and get back up without stressing over what they could have done differently, I feel inspired. It reminds me that it is possible. And I can do it too. Third, use the opportunity to become better at adapting. Most big mistakes present instant changes to reality as you know it. When I first arrived in New York City at 22, I got involved in a pyramid scam, thinking it was a shortcut to success, and blew through my savings. What is worse, I unknowingly pulled other people into a sinking ship that went under with their money. Fucked up situation. I could believe I'd be so naive. I could change what I've done, but I could take my new set of circumstances and challenges and plan a strategy to get back where I wanted to be. Anytime we practice adapting, we create the possibility of happiness that doesn't depend on perfect conditions. The fourth, strengthen your ability to focus on things you can control, which now is something very stoic, but it makes fucking sense. I tend to forget about it as well. I would actually maybe I'm actually gonna make a practice out of it, practice out of just writing things down over and over and over again every day, so that it hopefully sticks in my subconscious mind, even if it would be like 5 minutes. This is not a lot of time, but 5 minutes is a lot of time for writing things down. You can't control everything. You can't control everything. You can't control everything. Choose things you can control. Think about things you can control. Don't think about things you can't control. Because you can't control everything. There's a ton of things we just can't alter. These things are what they are. We can't make somebody respond to a message, for example. We can't make somebody respond in a certain way to a message. This is out of our control. And this is also why I would say this, makes life more interesting. Not everything is set. You can't anticipate everything, at least not for sure. Like, you can, somehow anticipate that maybe some things are gonna be in such a way. If this is really gonna be the case, no. But yeah. If you cheated on your boyfriend after one too many margaritas, you probably wish you could go back and show more restraint. Unfortunately, what you should have done is now irrelevant. All you can do is move forward from where you are. This is an invaluable skill because it empowers us to take positive action instead of falling into a shame cycle. All you can do is move forward from where you are. And this is a fucking fact. It really is. And this is something that I've very, very, very recently, and it is, once again, pretty hard to talk about for me. Important to say, either I see my life as maybe as an object or something. Either I can choose to live my life while me being happy, or I can choose my life me being unhappy. I can choose that. And why would I choose the second one? Why would I choose to be unhappy? Why? Doesn't make any sense. It's not going to make anything better. Of course, it might be easier from time to time, but I can choose. No, I'm willing to be happy. I'm willing to live a good life. I'm willing to live a life that I want to fucking live. And it is even strange to think about these things. Well, important, but in the end, we are having one life. Things happen. And I actually shouldn't be such a pussy. Sorry for the strong word. But period. Embrace impermanence. Everything in life is impermanent. While I am not thrilled when my actions end a relationship or a good situation, this reminds me to appreciate everyone and everything in the moment. And there are no guarantees in life, even if I make very few mistakes. Yes, I could die today. Theoretically, I could. And I really enjoy recording right now. I hope at least that I'm just able to present it in a good way so that people actually want to consume it and people actually are getting helped. Yeah, anyway. Evaluate your relationships. Think of it as it's a wonderful life moment. Okay. You're down on your luck and vulnerable. You have to do some major life restructuring to rebound from whatever you just experienced. Are your friends there for you, offering forgiveness and support, even if it takes them a little time to get there? If not, this may be a perfect time to remove unhealthy relationships from your life. Even if it is difficult and hard to do, for the long run, this is going to be good and this is going to be worthwhile. This may also give you a chance to strengthen your relationships. If you hurt someone else, take this opportunity to discover what really motivated your actions and then let yourself get vulnerable with them. We are all human and nothing brings us together like acknowledging our universal struggles. Which is something I thought about lately as well. Like, on one hand, I do not want to be vulnerable to anybody. I want to be the wall you can sit on, you can lean on. That is going to strengthen you. On one hand. Well, actually, I can do so. I can be both. Because I want to be this wall. I want to be this wall that other people can rely on. Other people can use to strengthen themselves. To have as a boundary. To have as, just some physically, but still in the metaphorical sense, physically dense and heavy and an unbreakable structure that is always there for them to use, to take as protection. But still, on the other hand, I want to be vulnerable. I want to show the cracks in my wall. I want to show those little plants that grow through the whole wall, that pierce through it. And the strikes that this war has to take every single fucking day. I want to show this too, but still, I want to remain this wall. I want to remain this wall that helps. The seventh, get better at accepting responsibility. I know many people who would sooner donate their organs to science than take responsibility. We've all passed a buck at one time and another. Passed a buck? I actually do not know this phrase. Time or other, because it is a risk to admit culpability. Still, there is something empowering about saying, I screwed up and I accept the consequences. And I'm having to face consequences at this point in time. But something that I think is very important for people, the story that, and this is something that I have seen very lately. I'm still not pretty convinced that I'm able to control it. I'm still not really convinced that I'm able to see it all the time and use it every time. But yesterday especially, I've been able to see the story that I'm telling myself. And I thought, no, I'm not going to accept this story. This story is not what I want to believe in. This story is not what I want to live my life by. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to pick another story. I'm going to choose a different story. I'm going to choose just a different perspective, which is going to rewrite the whole story completely. If I see things in a different light, the things that I see change. And this is it. Period. So, on one hand, for example, you can see somebody and think, wow, they have it all. Wow, they must be so happy. They must be grateful to their bones for what they have. They must live the best life they have ever had. Well, and if it is the case, I'm more than happy for them. I can't be happier than seeing people that, maybe I once associated with, that they're happy. That they are even happier than I knew them. That, they have been able to work out things, to, especially people that I know, but in general people, I don't want anybody to be unhappy. Why would I? Of course, sometimes it hurts when other people have it seemingly better than you're having it. But they worked on it probably. They had to deal with it. They took the consequences. They used their energy and they did something. But am I starting to bleed? No. But it always makes sense to remind yourself of the things you did, the things you went through, and the things you have accomplished. We all work through life. We all do things. And it is great to acknowledge those wonderful things that we have accomplished, those wonderful things that we were able to do, and we were able to, create or whatnot. Makes sense. It's a good thing. Anyway, challenge your thinking. There's a quote that reads, "Success is often the result of taking a misstep in the right direction. If your mistake propels you toward a better future, then it is actually a blessing and in a disguise." I realize, mistakes oftentimes present challenges, but ultimately you can only move forward if you find opportunities in your reality, whatever that may be. The crazy thing about regrets is that it seems imperative sometimes, as if we have to indulge it, like a bad we made and now have to lie in. But there is nothing compelling us to dwell on the way things could have been. The only thing that keeps us stuck in lost possibilities is the refusal to focus on new ones. But there is nothing compelling us to dwell on the way things could have been. The only thing that keeps us stuck in lost possibilities is the refusal to focus on new ones. Life is now, and we always have a choice. Do we drown in regret over what never came to be, or use our energy to create what can be? Today, I'm choosing the latter. Today, I'm choosing to use my energy to create what can be, or could be, and at least see the possibility, and at least go for the possibility. Okay, I know in very present days, I have done things, I have said things, I have lived a life that I actually don't want to live anymore. And so I'm taking this realization in my life, I'm taking this energy in my life to do something with it, to do something smart with it, to put it into things that, you know, that are going to be worthwhile in the future and in the end. So, yeah, period. I think I'm going to end the episode there. I hope very dearly that I've been able to go through some things that were of help, yeah, for you. But I'm going to see you next time. So bye.